Vijay Drakoi. I will speak now. I was wondering when you were going to wake up. Oh, take your time, take your time. There's no need to scramble up all of a sudden. Relax. Take a deep breath. Stretch. Take your time. This is a dream after all. No need to hurry yourself. When you've fully waked, we can talk. Here. This should help you find your wits and voice. Drink this. It's a flask of warm herbal tea. My own special blend. It's rather bitter underneath the sweetening herbs. An acquired taste, I'm afraid, but it will help get you on your feet. Now, drink up. Oh, what a face you are making. I told you it was bitter, but no matter. Drink it all down. You'll be feeling much better quite soon, I assure you. Where are you indeed? An interesting question, with an interesting answer. You're new here. New to this. Well, I guess that requires an explanation too. As I said, this is a dream. You are asleep, probably in your bed at home, and you are dreaming. But your dreaming self has traveled. You are no longer in your own body, in your own realm of existence. There is a place of questionable reality which surrounds the world that you know. It surrounds everything that you would think of as real. Your planet, your solar system, galaxy, etc., etc., etc. It's partly conceptual and partly metaphysical, and partly quite real in its own way. The Dreamlands. It wraps around everything in your reality, like a thick fog surrounding a snow globe. And there is even more beyond the Dreamlands. But that can perhaps wait for another time. Another dream, if you prefer. To resume then, the Dreamlands as a whole are a collection of places where the more powerful dreamers of humanity go when they dream. When a person who is strong of mind and will enters the dreaming state, they don't merely experience the dream inside their head. They drift loose from their reality and enter the Dreamlands. Sometimes they end up in their own little corner of it where they can happily mold the misty stuff of dreams to suit their fancy. And sometimes they find themselves in something a little more solid. You see, one of the strange quirks of the Dreamlands is that the more often a dream is dreamed, the more often a certain locale is visited by dreamers, the more solid it becomes, the more real it becomes. Like this garden of mine. I've been tending it for, thousands of years as you mortals reckon time. Thousands of years, continually visited by dreamers who come to see the things I've grown. And now, you have dreamed yourself to this place? Possibly by accident, possibly by subconscious desire. Who knows? But you are here. And so I welcome you, mortal, to the dream gardens of Karmenkannes. It is a vast and wandering place. You can't even see it all from many places inside the garden, and to get the full view, one must climb the heights and look down upon it from above. I think you will like my garden. Over the millennia I have spent in the tending of it, I have been carefully building it up, bit by bit, sculpting the shape of the land, the rocks, the stones, the brickwork, the ponds and streams, all of it molded with care from the tenuous, unformed stuff of dreams. Most of the plants are of dream stuff as well, though a few specimens I have brought all the way from your mortal realm. Chestnut trees, a banyan, a cutting of the mother haas avocado tree. I even have an entire grove of banana trees of the variety that was popular before the blight. I would happily take you on a tour. Not a tour of the entire garden. There's too much of it for a single dream. Who can examine an entire valley in a day? But I can show you some of the sights in this humble little corner of my garden. It so happens that you have dreamed yourself into the part of my garden where I keep some of the more unsafe specimens. I like to organize my plantings, you see. Plants that are pleasing to the eye, plants which provide things to eat, plants which have a particular pleasing scent. This, dear dreamer, is where I keep the plants that will end you. So do have a care when following me along this little tour, and try not to touch anything. Try very hard, because as a result of how stable this portion of the Dreamlands has become, since I have made it so, the poisons in these plants can kill you even in your dreams, and you do not want that. Now, if you feel yourself up to the exercise, can you stand? Yes, well then, follow me. We shall walk along this path, and I will point out various specimens of interest as we pass them. I see you've noticed the mosses covering the path. I do have a particular affection for mosses. They add a softness, a roundness to bare stone, and I find that a plush carpet of moss makes for an excellent trail through any section of my gardens that are suited to such plants. They also deaden the sound of footsteps, which makes for fewer distractions from the visual and olfactory elements of the place. Ah, we are coming up on the first of the plantings I wish for you to see. Remember, do not touch anything. Here we have a grove of hemlock plants, Conium maculatum. I've been selecting them for their height and for their delicate lacy appearance. The greater number of them are twice your own height and crowned with bunches of tiny white flowers. This grove is in its second year of growth, hence the great height of the plants. In their first year, they grow much lower to the ground and bear no flowers. Note the smooth, hairless green stems of the plants, with occasional red and purple streaks and spots. All parts of this plant are exceptionally poisonous. Even the dead plants can remain toxic for years. Your ancient philosopher Socrates met his end with an infusion made from this plant. Very pretty, this grove, but very, very dangerous. Look on them for a time, and when you have gazed your fill, we shall move on. Very well. On we go. The next species we shall observe on our tour is the strychnine tree, Strychnos nux vomica. These trees stand some 10 times the height of a man, with smooth, ash-colored bark. The leaves are smooth and shiny, with a pleasing oval shape. Alas, the trees are not currently in flower, else I might show them to you as well. A fortunate timing, really, at least for you, since the flowers have a rather unpleasant smell. Or so I have been told. Likewise, they are not yet in fruit. The fruit bears telling of, however. They are of the size of an apple and possess a smooth, hard shell. The seeds contained therein are flat and button-shaped and possess a very bitter taste. They contain strychnine and brucine, both quite unpleasant substances. The bark of the tree is also poisonous. Ah, here is one of the fruits on the ground from last season. I thought I had collected them all. No, do not touch. Let it be. Best you not take any risks while you are here. Look, but do not touch. We will linger for a time, so that you may appreciate the view. Have you seen enough? Then we will continue. Next we have a planting of Ricinus communis, the castor bean. They are often grown as a shorter ornamental plant, but the ones I have cultivated are again of the more sizable variety. These trees are some 40 feet in height, and most notable for their enormous spreading leaves, some nearly a cubit in length. They are palmate with many lobes and range in color from reddish-purple to dark green. The flowers are small and unremarkable, some white, some red. On some of these trees you can even observe some early seed clusters with their spiky outer coverings. Do not approach too closely, friend. The pollen of these trees can trigger severe allergic reactions, as can the sap. But the real danger is in the seeds, these ovoid shapes you see here and there upon the ground. They are quite beautiful, with their rich brown and black colors, but beware. They contain ricin, another deadly chemical. The seeds are sometimes used to make jewelry, and for the oil which can be pressed from them, but I do not suggest handling the ones in my garden. Better safe than sorry. You wish to continue, then? Let it be so. And here we have my lush beds of purple foxglove, digitalis. I have a special affection for the purple variety with their tall spikes of tubular flowers. They can grow as tall as a man, though I must confess that the slightly shorter species that you see before you are my own favorites. Like the hemlocks, these plants are in their second year of growth, during which these beautiful flowering stalks are produced. Every part of this plant, save the roots, contains digitoxin, which induces undesirable symptoms that affect the action of the heart. It has its uses in human medicine, but the dosing must be very precise. It is not to be used by the casual practitioner. Look upon these lovely flowers for a time, and see them for the beauty that they possess. Think not upon the fatal aspects of the plant, and merely enjoy the view. Agreed. We shall move onward. Here is a plant famously known to history as deadly nightshade, the Atropa belladonna described by Linnaeus. It is another shrub-like plant of about man height, with green ovate leaves and flowers of a dull purple shade. Note the berries on this plant here. They are the size of a small cherry, of a shiny black color, and oh, so deliciously inviting to the eye. Do not be fooled by appearances. This is one of the most toxic plants known to mankind. All portions of this plant contain highly poisonous alkaloids, most notably atropine. Consumption of these sweet-fleshed berries leads to a multitude of malign symptoms, from light sensitivity and blurred vision to the disruption of sweating, breathing, and heart rate. It has famously been used as a poison, with ingestion often resulting in that terrible and final transition from being to being not. Observe these plants and make special note of them, but touch them at your own peril. When you are ready, we shall proceed apace. Are you sure? Do you not have a nagging urge to at least taste one of the berries? You are very wise. On we go then. Another of my planting beds, dear dreamer. Look upon the rows of aconite, sometimes called monkshood or wolfsbane. They are short plants, seldom reaching knee-high. I have cultivated here the blue variety, as they stand out the best to my eye among all the greenery. Aconite also has its place in human mythology and literature, and has been used as a poison in various capacities for thousands of years. These plants contain a highly potent neurotoxin within their parts, especially in the roots and tubers. Only a few grains of the distilled essence of aconite can be fatal. Initial symptoms are typically of the sort that turn one's insides into outsides, followed by further unpleasantries like respiratory failure and paralysis of the heart. While they are very pretty, I would advise against touching them. Keep to the moss-covered path, and when you feel you have looked upon the garden sufficiently, I will show you another botanical wonder. Step this way, if you please. I have a rarity to show you next, right around this curve in the path. Here before you spreads a broad grove of brugmansia, grown from some of the very last wild specimens in the mortal realm. Yes, indeed. In your own world, these plants are no longer found in the wild. Possibly this condition derives from the extinction of some animal which spread the seeds about. I collected the progenitors of this planting long, long ago, when they could still be found in the wild places of your world. But I did not tarry long in the locale where they were to be found, and I never learned much about their surrounding ecology. A shame, that. In any event, they are now known only as a cultivated ornamental, or as close escapees from cultivation, and as an item in my own collection. These woody shrubs can stand from 2 to 6 fathoms tall, with hand-sized, toothy leaves covered in fine hairs. The flowers are large, pendulous, and shaped in such a way that the plant has gained the name Angel's Trumpet. These flowers are sometimes a cubit in length and a hand's breadth across the large end. The flowers range in colors from white and yellow, pink, to orange, green, and red. They have a strong, pleasant fragrance, especially of an evening. No, do not attempt to smell the flowers. All parts of this plant are potentially poisonous, most especially the leaves and seeds. The plant contains much the same suite of alkaloids as the deadly nightshade. Eat of this plant, and you may experience a host of horrors, from dry mouth to hallucinations to notification of your next of kin. I once had occasion to experience the effects firsthand. Although my fundamental organization differs greatly from the human biological system, the experience was disagreeable. They do add a charmingly unique character to this part of my horticultural preserve, though. Don't you agree? I see. Well, should you like to continue? Right this way, then. Step carefully here. We are approaching one of my favorite sections of the Poison Gardens. Here I have planted a beautiful collection of another plant with trumpet-shaped flowers. But whereas the angel's trumpets which we have just quitted hang downward, as though from the heavens, you can see that the flowers of these plants are facing upwards, as though from the depths of the 7 hells. You look upon the devil's trumpet, the thorn apples of the genus Datura. These plants have dark green leaves, lobed and hand-sized, and many of these plants would stand a fathom at least in height. I have carefully tinkered with the soil conditions within this planting, so that conditions at the edges are such as to support the growth of a shorter variety, with taller ones developing towards the center. And, as you might be guessing, based on the previous examples in my garden, these plants are not for eating. They contain our good friend and toxic alkaloid atropine, along with a few other substances found also in deadly nightshade. The seeds and flowers contain the highest concentration of the toxins, but all parts of the plant, to greater or lesser degrees, are toxic. How does the old rhyme go? Blind as a bat, mad as a hatter, red as a beet, hot as a hare, dry as a bone, the bowel and bladder lose their tone, and the heart runs alone. There are several species of honey wasps whose sugary secretion, when made using nectar from these flowers, can itself become toxic. Eat of this plant, and in your hyperactive delirium, you may well see your dead ancestors for a short while, before you journey on to meet them in the afterlife. It will by no means be a pleasant journey. But on that note, if you care to continue on our own journey, let us move along then. Yes, we are back to the trees again. No more planted beds of flowers. We are delving once more into the groves of larger organisms. See the yellow flowers on yonder trees? Those are my laburnums. They will grow some 4 or 5 fathoms tall, and are generally unremarkable most of the year. They have small leaves that remind one of a clover, oddly enough, and a smooth brownish-gray bark. But I like them for their tremendous cascades of yellow flowers. They hang in chain-like clusters nearly a cubit long all over the tree. Later in the season, they will bear a pod-like fruit. The fruit is extremely poisonous. In truth, the entire tree is poisonous, but the toxins are especially concentrated in the seeds. Ingesting them probably wouldn't end you. Probably. But I doubt you'd enjoy the fits of convulsions, coma, and uncontrolled purging of the bowels. Yes, generally no one enjoys that sort of thing. Shall we move on, then? There are 1 or 2 more plantings I wish to show you along this trail. You'll find this next example interesting, I think. Do not approach the plants too closely. These are giant hogweeds. They grow tall for a perennial plant, with some of my own cultivated specimens approaching 3 fathoms in height. The stems are as thick as your wrist, and they are covered with a layer of coarse white hairs. The leaves look rather like those of a red oak, but without the waxy smooth surface. The flowers look somewhat like those of the hemlock, and the seeds, they are but small things. I like the hogweeds, not for their poisonous qualities, for in truth they have little or none to speak of, not like the other plants I have shown you. Not poisonous exactly, one should say. but their sap induces a most fascinating condition when it contacts human skin. This condition is called phytophotodermatitis. A severe inflammation quickly develops after the affected area is exposed to sunlight. Great thundering blisters soon appear, leaving horrible dark scars that may last for years afterwards. Look upon these plants, learn their shape and form, and avoid them. And now, one final tree to show you. This way, please. Halt, dreamer. You must go no further at present. See that tree over yonder, standing all by itself in the middle of the clearing? That is the manchineal, a tree reputed to be so deadly that even its shadow can kill. Yes, it does sound a little improbable, but its reputation is well earned. Behold the little apple of death, as it is sometimes called. It stands some 8 fathoms high, and its shiny green leaves stand out against the reddish-gray bark. Little apple indeed. And the fruit does resemble an apple that will ruin your day entirely. Every part of this tree contains very powerful toxins. The sap is milky white, and it just has a look of unwholesomeness to it. Getting the sap on one's skin can cause severe inflammation of the area affected. If you stand beneath the tree in the rain, the tree will drip sap on you. Even a drop will cause blisters. And don't get me started on the horrors caused by inhaling the smoke, should the tree catch fire. And of course the fruit will cause no less mischief should you ingest it. Though I hear it is pleasantly sweet at first. Eventually your throat swells shut and the bleeding begins. I can see by the look in your eyes that you have had about enough of the sights and horrors of my beautiful garden. Remember, though all about you looks and feels real, it is but a dream. A dream which has strayed into the realm and domain of another, but still a dream to you, and one from which you must awaken soon. So, follow me down this path to my humble abode, and I will make for you a different herbal infusion from that which you had before, upon your arrival here. A most powerful tea indeed, one with herbs from elsewhere in my garden. A drink which will make you sleep, relax, and forget all your cares and troubles. Yes, a deep, deep sleep will be just the thing for you.